that everywhere he would ride on that big white horse during the war, this flag announced that he was present. You would have a noisy crowd of people, and when they saw this flag, you could hear a pin drop. You might hear someone say, "I saw the great general with my own eyes," or "I served under the great General Washington. He was beloved to his people." Well, indeed, we will need someone to lead the pledge. Is there someone here who would like to lead the pledge? We're going to need 4 people all told. We have one here. Proceed and place that wreath. You're welcome to stand there a moment and we can get a picture of that, especially Martha Washington. He said it's okay. It's okay. I think that's what Tiswell means. But you know what? I always remind folks that he's your founding father and he is your George Washington. Read the books. The research has been done so carefully. But make your own decisions about who your George Washington is.
What you have just witnessed is what they call a reclaiming ceremony there at Mount Vernon. I had no idea what a reclaiming ceremony was before I saw it, and I had just come out of the tour of the mansion, and when I heard a worker announce that there was going to be this reclaiming ceremony down at the tomb, and I'm like, well, I didn't know what a reclaiming ceremony was, but I was there, and I wanted to see what it was, and so I walked on down there, and as you can tell, it's a very solemn place. You know, it's a very solemn occasion. You know, you're there at the tomb where George Washington and Martha Washington and 20 other members of the Washington family are buried, and and that's one reason I wanted to start this video with just that experience. You know, no intrusion by my own interpretation of the events. You know, there's times when the pictures speak so much more loudly than the words ever could. The ceremony was led by the lady in the white shirt, and the people in the white shirt there at Mount Vernon, they are the historians, and they are the ones who lead the tours, they are the ones who answer the questions, they are the ones available to point you in whatever direction you want, and I use them. Every question that came to my mind, I would find someone in a white shirt and ask them, and I must have annoyed maybe 6 or 8 different people, but they were great. You know, I applaud them for their wonderful work. The ceremony itself consisted of someone reading the Pledge of Allegiance and everyone else following along. The lady, the historian, she found a little girl to lead the pledge. Then there was this prayer that this older gentleman that was in the video, he read. It was a prayer, I believe, that was written back at the time when Washington died and was originally read at Washington's funeral. And then there was these 2 women, sisters, who carried this wreath into the actual tomb itself and set it in between the sarcophagus of George Washington and Martha. George is on the right and Martha is on the left. it was a wonderful experience, and I was able to get a few pictures myself. This is the inside of the tomb with the sarcophagus of George Washington there on the right, and Martha is over on the left. The wreath that the ladies brought in is right there in the middle, in front of the door, which leads to 20 other members of the Washington family buried in the same spot. Before leaving the Washington tomb, it should be noted these obelisks that are on the outside of the tomb. They are the headstones to the three heirs to Mount Vernon. One is John Augustine Washington, another is Bushrod Washington, who I believe was a judge, and I'm not sure on the third. There is a fourth that's just around the corner on the side, and I tried to read exactly whose tomb that was, but kind of hard reading through the gate sometime. Nearby the Washington tomb is the slavery burial ground. It's something that you might easily miss, and I think I really did miss it the first time I visited Mount Vernon. It's on the map, but it's not in any easy pathway, and not in any convenient routes. I mean, you're not going to pass by it, and if you did pass by it, you may not know what you passed by, because it is in essence just an empty plot of ground. An early visitor to Mount Vernon back in 1833 made the comment that near Washington's tomb you see the burying place of his slaves containing 150 graves. It is widely believed that many of the people who worked at Mount Vernon, both free and enslaved, those who worked there from the 1750s into the 19th century, are buried somewhere near here. Among those are William Lee, George Washington's personal servant during the Revolutionary War, and also another freed slave by the name of West Ford. He was hired by the Washington family in the 19th century, and he helped the Mount Vernon Ladies Association in the early restoration of the estate.